If you're watching this, then it means that the very dark mood I'm in today apparently didn't infect this video too much to make it completely unusable. So that's something. Really wanted to film a video today because I want to get into the habit of filming regular videos at least twice a week if I can from now on. I will talk about my weird kind of relationship with this YouTube channel at some point, but yeah, I wanted to get something out, and since it is 2 weeks to the UK Games Expo, I thought I would do a rundown of things that I'm looking forward to, because I have access to the exhibitors portal, so I've seen a lot of the early maps, and I've got access to who's going to be at the press release stuff, so I've been looking through everyone who's going to be at the press night and everyone who's sort of in our general area, and all the new people as well. So I've been scanning that to see what takes my fancy, and I thought I would make a little list, or technically I've made 2 lists here. These are games I'd really like to either play or at least get a look at whilst at the expo. I will almost certainly not be able to do this, but if I go in focused with a plan, I'm going to try and hit these spots, then I will have a better chance of actually doing something, as opposed to just sort of wandering around in a neurodivergent bubble, just freaking out that there are people everywhere. So this first 5 are games that don't need me advertising them. They're the sort of big names that you may well recognise, but they're games that I have been curious to try and would like to get a try of at the expo, because I've wanted to, or at least get a look at, if maybe I can get my hands on one of them. Number 5 is not a new game, but it is the Dorfromantik board game. I'm very curious about this. It has a modular nature. It's based on the video game, and it kind of builds as you go. It's like a campaigny kind of nature where you open various boxes and add things to the game as it progresses. It just sounds really, really interesting, and I like the concept, and I want to at least have a look at it and see, get an idea of if it's maybe worth it. Sounds like something that wouldn't work, but from what I've seen of it, it does. You unlock, as you play each game you play, you unlock something and you play with that. That will be in the next game, and sort of it builds that way. I don't know if there's an ultimate goal or any kind of plot. I don't think there is, but yeah, it just sounds like an interesting concept, and I quite like legacy games. I've played a lot of them. The second one's also not a new game, but it's been on my to-play list for a long time, and that's Spirit Island, an asymmetrical game where the players play spirits trying to scare off or expel the colonizers from their island. Yeah, it sounds really interesting. I really like the sound of it. I like the theming. I like asymmetry. I like these kind of territory control style games, and yes, it's been on my radar for a while, but I just somehow never managed to get my hands on a copy to play it. So yeah, Dorfromantik and Spirit Island, those are my 2 kind of established names. Moving on to my number 3, we're getting into the newer stuff now. I want to try Moving Wild by Oink Games. I'm a fan of Oink Games. I like a lot of their stuff. I really like Insider. The Insider's a really good game. And this is a sort of remake of Zuli, which I don't know anything about, but yeah, it looks really interesting, and a lot of people are kind of talking about it. My number 2 is another one that people have been talking about a lot, but I haven't really heard in context before I started looking into the expo, because I'm not on top of these things. I'm not a journalist. So yes, is SETI, which stands for Search for Extraterrestrial Intelligence. It's a game of space exploration and searching for life beyond the stars. It's got a really interesting board design. I really like the look of the board, and it just sounds really interesting. It just sounds, again, these all sound interesting. That's the whole point of this list. I've got to stop saying those words. And last on my list, which is pretty much on every single one of these lists that I've seen, is of course Arcs. This probably won't come as a huge surprise. You can see my shelf there, which has every route on it, and next to Oath. I'm a fan of leader games, and so yeah, there's a new one, Arc, this trick-taking space kind of exploration-y conquering kind of game. Yeah, it looks really good. Again, if you're anything about board games, you've probably heard of it. I won't dwell on it, but yeah, I'd like to get in on a play test of that. That would be really good. That's going to be probably at the top of my priority list there. If they've got the Spirit Island in maybe the library in the Hilton, I might try and play it one night. But if I can try and get a playtest of Arcs at the expo, on the expo floor, that would be quite good. I want to give an honourable mention as well to Final Girl. I played Final Girl for the first time last year's expo, and I liked it. However, you have to buy the base game, and then you have to buy the scenarios separately. So it was a good, I don't know, 50 quid or something, or 40 quid for the game, and I just couldn't justify that for a solo game. I've got nothing against playing solo games. I play Robinson Crusoe by myself sometimes, and I've played other games in solo modes, but a game that I can only play solo, that I can only play by myself, feels odd because just then at that point it's just buying me a present, which I know they all are really, but I can play them with it's a social activity. I like it. It sort of gets me out of my shell. A solo games, I just couldn't justify buying it, but I would be interested to try it again. But it's an honourable mention because I've already played it once. But we breeze through that because now I want to talk about the little indie stuff, all the other little indie publishers, some of them first time, some of them not. But here's my 10 smaller games that I'm very curious to try. They're in alphabetical order because they had to be in some sort of order, so I just went with that. Number 1, Be Like a Cat. This is Critical Kit Stall 2458. There's not a lot of information about them on the UK GE website, unfortunately, but they are going to be at the press release at least, and I assume hopefully they'll have it on their stand. But this is a solo or 2-player RPG that you can play, where you play a cat, exploring a world, and as it says in the description, taking over territory. I don't know what that means, but yeah, I just like the idea of playing a little solo RPG where you pretend to be a cat. The only solo RPG I have is 1000-Year-Old Vampire, and I imagine it's a very different experience to be a cat sort of doing cat things. But yeah, I like Vampire, and I think I could. This sounds interesting. I'd like to read it and have a see what it's about. The next one is Betty Two Bricks by Chaos Games, or Chaos Games. I'm not sure if I'm saying that correctly. Hall 2, stall 497, and yeah, I'm going to try and get over there. Best I can tell, it's a fairly light card game with quite a lot of mean mechanics, like a lot of take that kind of mechanics, where you are basically trying to complete jobs to appease this local gangster called Betty Two Bricks before she cracks down on you because I guess you screwed up, and she's forcing you to do some extra work. But yeah, it sounds like a neat little game. I quite like the premise, and I like the name Betty Two Bricks is kind of what first grabbed me. The next one I hope to see is Deep Regrets by Tetix Games and Hall 2, stall 379. And yeah, so they are Deep Regrets. They've got a few games there, but Deep Regrets is the one that caught my eye. It's a fishing game about. Looks like it's a card game where you are sort of delving deeper and deeper trying to collect, or spending longer and longer trying to collect things, but the deeper you go and the longer you fish, or the further you fish, the more kind of monstrous-y things you begin to uncover. So it seems like it's a push your luck kind of fishing expedition, where you get some normal fishing things, or you can try and hook Cthulhu or whatever might be in the darkest depths of the ocean. So yeah, it looks like a small little neat game that could be quite fun, so I'm going to try and find that out. Next is a game that pretty much caught me on the name alone, and that's Divide and Conquer by No Drinks on the Table, who are in Hall 1, stand 290. Yeah, I don't know how much is going to be lost in translation outside of England, but it's a conquer war, a war with conkers basically. Looks like it's got some cutesy animation, but yeah, if you grew up vaguely in the sort of countryside as I did, or vaguely in the rural areas as I did, then yeah, you'll have had conker wars. Conkers fall from trees, you put strings through them, and then you just whack each other with these conkers on a string until the other person's conker breaks, or you just break their knuckles because you're a psychopath. But yeah, Divide and Conquer, a war with conkers. I like the concept, and I want to get a look at it and see what it's like. Next is FlickFleet by Yuri Dice, which is a flicking game, which looks like you've got little plastic ships in this kind of a space armada, and you're flicking at each other to try and do damage or knock each other. I don't know quite what the details is, but there's these little plasticky ships that look really cool, and you're just flicking. It's a flicking game. So yeah, they're actually having competitions, a couple of competitions every day. I want to say you can find their times on the game's website under events, where if you play a solo game and if you get a person with the highest score wins a certain amount of the FlickFleet, or like a monetary value amount of the game. So yeah, they've got a competition running, I think it's twice a day, at the beginning and the end of each day. FlickFleet, I'm going to try and check that out. I don't know if I'll enter the competition, but I'd quite like to have a look at that. I played a couple of flicking games at the Expo last year, over the last couple of years, and there's quite a fun concept. And this one looks like it's got an interesting design to it. Number 6 is Gunpowder, Treason and Plot by Dina Said No Studios in Hall 1, stall 502. And this is a social deduction group game focused around the gunpowder plot. If you don't know that, the Guy Fawkes story, where some people tried to blow up Parliament. I won't go into the full details of the story here, but it's sort of a famous story. Again, it might not, like the Conker game, might be lost in translation outside of the UK. But yeah, everyone has a secret role, and some people are trying to blow up Parliament. Some people are trying to stop it. I think it's the people that are trying to stop it that are secret, so they've got to kind of sabotage the efforts of the other players while pretending like, yeah, we totally want to blow up Parliament. So yeah, while they're trying to sabotage bombs and stuff. So yeah, that sounds like kind of a reverse of a social deduction, where you're a hidden good guy in a team of bad guys pretending to be a bad guy, which I think sounds interesting. Normally it's the other way around, obviously. Yeah, so I thought that sounded really interesting, and I like social deduction. You know, I've been working with Blood in the Clock Tower for since 2018, so yeah, you know that I like social deduction. Number 7 is Luthier by Pavison. That's in Hall 1, stall 726. Yeah, I nearly played this last year. It's a really beautiful looking game. They made Distilled as their previous game, so they're relatively established, I believe. But yeah, Luthier's got a lot of buzz around it, and it looks really nice. And I saw it last year. We were actually positioned quite near it. When I was at Blood on the Clock Tower, I was actually quite near the stand, so I kept kind of walking past it constantly, but I never got a chance to sit down and play. So yeah, hopefully I'll try and get a game of that in this year. It's a worker placement game about crafting musical instruments for the use by Bach and Mozart and people, all those kind of like classic period musicians of the height of that age. So yeah, it's a really interesting theme. I like the theme. I used to play piano and violin. I used to play a lot of musical instruments back in the day. But yeah, no, I really want to play this one because I like worker placement and I just like the look of it. Number 8 is Oh No, I Started a Cult. It's another solo RPG, like Be Like a Cat at the start of this list. Again, neat little premise. I really like the idea. It sounds like it could be quite humorous in nature. So I just want to get a look at that and see what it's all about. That's in Hall 2, stand 906, and I want to get a look at that one again. Again, just a little read of the book and see what it's all about. Number 9 is The Strange Forgeries of Mr. S.G. Rheber, or Schreiber, I think I've seen it said. So yes, it's by Beyond Words. They're in Hall 2, stall 889, so actually right near us. I could probably get to that one quite easily, just sneak away. It's actually Kaylee that kind of flagged this one. I'm not sure why she flagged it, but when I looked at it I was like, I don't really understand what this game is. So it looks very curious. You are drawing little images on pieces of paper and sort of handing them around, and then one player is sort of in charge and decides what's a forgery and what isn't at the start of the game, or something like that, and then everyone's sort of drawing things, and then you're kind of auctioning them off, and everyone's trying to not get forgeries, but only like one player sort of has determined what the rules are and what constitutes a forgery, whilst everyone's sort of making their doodles. So yeah, that sounds like a really interesting idea, and relatively unique setup. So yeah, it's kind of I want to get a look at that. So yeah, I'm not going to say the name again because I don't even know if I'm saying it correctly. And lastly is Ultimate Treehouse by Tomy, or maybe it said Tommy, but it's all capitalised, Tomy, in Hall 2, stall 772, which again is not too far from us. They've got a few new games that they are debuting there, but Ultimate Treehouse is the one that kind of caught my eye, where you are competitively building a treehouse in a kind of point salady way, just to score points really. Whoever has the most point scoring treehouse at the end wins. I like the construction idea and building something. It just appeals to me, and it looks neat as well. So yeah, that's my number 10. Yeah, so I tried to keep that quick. So that's 5 big name games that I'd like to play at the expo, and 10 smaller name games that I would kind of try and get round to the stalls and have a look at. I'll see if I can get round on the Friday, because Friday is generally the quieter day, but I will sneak in on the Thursday and just say hello to people. But yeah, obviously I'm going to be pretty busy running the stand and going to all the events in the evenings, so I might not get any time for gaming at all. Woe is me. But yeah, if I can get away and jump on some of those things, I will do my best to do so. Because if I've got a focus, if I'm laser focused, I think I can probably get something done, get a few of those things done. Sorry if I was super quick breezing through there. I just didn't want this video to be too long. If you've seen this video and I gave you a shout out, then give me a hello in the comments, and I'll do my best to give you a little signal boost. But yeah, hopefully that was interesting. I will try and make some more meatier videos going forward, but again, like I said in my previous video, we are pretty much focused on the expo at the moment, and it's kind of draining all of my mental capacity and energy and money. So like and subscribe to this channel. You see videos on the game that we're taking to the expo have come up. Some more will go up, some more detailed videos will go up hopefully over the next week. I hope you have been enjoying this. If you're curious about any of those games that I've just mentioned, then check them out. I'll put the stand numbers and any links that I can find in the description below. Our Ko-Fi support page is below. Everything's going into getting us to the expo at the moment. Also, the launch page, the pre-launch page for our Kickstarter for the Trouble on the Tempus game that we are taking to the expo is up. If you're into that sort of thing, then please do follow that link, again the Kickstarter link below, and just click on the little notification icon or the save icon to keep an eye on the project. Maybe I'll see you at the UK Games Expo at the end of the month, but if not, or you're watching this after that's already been and gone, then yeah, just thanks for watching. The end.